course, this week, I believe Tuesday, Paris Hilton goes into prison for her minor driving offence. She's supposed to do 45 days. I think she's only doing 25, and there's a little piece in the paper about it. Says that the woman that she's sharing her cell with has promised not to sell her story to the tabloids, which is very, very noble.
Yeah, right.
It says this is not like Hilton, whose plans include a television special and the publication of her diary when she emerges from the Century Regional Detention Facility. It says that Hilton's room is going to be in the special needs wing. Which in America has slightly different meaning, because it means that's the area where the inmates may be attacked by other kind of jailmates. But it seems curiously appropriate for Hilton in a strange way, the special needs section, because now I don't maybe seek the the ladies' kind of view on Hilton, because I don't like her. There's something about her that I don't like, and I think it's the fact that she's sort of symbolic, really, of a kind of increasing appreciation of stupid people, which I thought had actually been undone by Jade Goody's kind of fall from grace, because for a while she was the kind of pin-up for stupidity, and it was as though for a while there was a kind of movement in popular culture where somehow it was to have smarts in some way, to be educated was somehow to be kind of embarrassed or uncool or whatever else, and something I imagine Rufus would agree with, because you're an educated man, and I imagine you find her appalling. I find her to be this kind of sort of pointless human being, a kind of vacuous, blonde, long-legged gnat that kind of floats around the universe doing nothing much but buying clothes and camcorder tapes. From what I can make, I don't know how many times that she's going to make that particular mistake. 3 consecutive boyfriends now have sold or put tapes of her online. You sort of wonder, when the third boyfriend gets his camcorder out, surely just go, do you know what? I think not.
Yeah.
I'll have my fingers burned. I'm not going to bother. But Sammy, you're a chick. What do you make of Hilton?
See, I thought people appreciated her in an ironic fashion, like
that's what worries me, though. I don't like that.
But they don't.
Do they not?
No,
they genuinely adore her.
People genuinely like her. I've got a few. I teach children. I was going to say I've got a few kids there, which sounds quite bad considering I'm 20. There's a girl in my drama class, and she's 16, and she idolises Paris Hilton. That's all she wants to be.
But do you think it's because of that, the fact that, in a sense, you aspire to Hilton? One aspires to Hilton, not you, I should say. But one aspires to Hilton because she's nothing. You know what I mean? She's not smart. She's not talented. It's sort of like, that's what I can aspire to. It means like you don't have to aspire to anything yourself. You don't have to aspire to greatness. You can just hope that luck and good fortune will sort of fall in your lap.
I mean, I personally find her repugnant. She is a shocking excuse for a person. And it is entertaining to watch her sometimes, and the massive mistakes she makes, and then sometimes do you think, are they planned, are they scripted? But I don't know, she actually frustrates me in the fashion I believe that Jamie T frustrates you. She kind of puts my nails on edge, and I start clawing slightly at the arm of the chair I'm sitting at. She's unpleasant.
I've said it in the past that it seems like we're in a culture now where we kind of put up there people that somehow don't quite deserve all this attention. Why isn't it the doctors and the astrophysicists and the scientists and the aid workers? Why aren't they up there? Like I said before, there's no reason. I know we don't particularly want to see Dr. Stephen Hawking, in a thong on the beach. I can understand why some people don't want that, sure, but nevertheless, I just wish that, at least people who've read a book.
Yeah.
That would be nice to see that.
Willie Donaldson, who, there was a recent biography of him by Terence Blacker called You Cannot Live as I Have Lived and Not End Up Like This, which I'll advise people to read. It was brilliant. Famously described Paris Hilton as looking like a miniature Italian greyhound that had been dipped in bleach. And they're the ones with a quivering lower lip the whole time, which I thought was a brilliant description.
Yeah, there's that great South Park episode where they basically tear Paris Hilton to shreds, and her pet animals keep killing themselves.
Yeah, just
to get away from
boredom and Well, listen, I think Hilton has clearly suffered enough, despite the fact that she's being chauffeur-driven from her house to the jail, apparently, with a team of makeup artists on board, which is fantastic. But Rufus, it's your choice now, musically.
Stephen, I've been up to my elbows in your hole this week.
Thank you.
As you probably know, sometimes Harry and Dan and I help out with your big pigeonhole of tracks, and one of the tracks I've listened to this week was by, and I think I was given it because the woman had a Delbrel name, which Harry and I agreed should put her in my camp. Her name is Lisa Lindley Jones. This is an EP called the White Shadow EP. She comes as well as Stockholm. The White Shadow EP was mixed by Tim Holmes from Death in Vegas, and she's going to be touring the UK in August. That's pretty much all I know about Lisa Lindley Jones. She's got a MySpace page.
Is this because you read it off the back of the CD?
Yeah. How else was I meant to? Yeah. So this is the 4th track off the White Shadow EP. It's called Lazy.
It's impossible for me to obviously listen to every single song that I'm sent. Well, it's not impossible. I just choose not to because I've got other stuff in my life. But I've now started to apportion out some of those CDs to my cronies here, and that's one that Rufus dug up. What was it?
It was called Lazy. It was by Lisa Lindley Jones, Lindley Jones, and it's off her White Shadow EP. And I'm pleased to say it seemed to go quite well in the studio.
It seemed to be very well received. Good choice, Ruth. Thank you very much. Pretty much the end of the Steve Show. Thanks for listening this week. We've had with us our She-J, Sammy. Little round of applause for Sammy. She'll be hopefully coming down in future weeks. Obviously, it's difficult for her to come every week as it is a long way from Newcastle, and I ain't springing for a car. But earlier on, of course, I gave you 20 crisp pounds, which was from my own wallet. Everyone witnessed that.
It was.
That was amazing.
I'm hoping that it's on the webcam as well.
Moths everywhere.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow. You're fired.
Oh.
Get out. You did so well, Dan, but that was it. You overstepped the mark.
Well.
I can dish it out. I can't take it. And obviously, I ask you to choose something from the Argos catalogue, because what I've always been a fan of is the voucher. People give vouchers as gifts, which is to me like you take £20, but you limit where it can be spent. Which always seems a strange idea. So that's very much what I've done. And what have you ended up with? What have you chosen?
Well, you have a little bit of input into this. I've definitely decided upon page 1556, gifting, item 2, which is the Pick and Mix sweet shop.
Ah.
Yeah.
£20 worth.
Oh no, it's just £10, and it includes display counter and pretend money with real sweets.
That's fantastic.
You have to get 2 of them.
Well, what I've decided upon is item 4 on page 1188, camping.
If you've got your Argos catalogue, you can take that now.
And that is a poncho for the rain. Now, I don't know if you want 2 of these, one for Rufus and one indeed for Harry for Glastonbury, or if I should just get one and let them fight.
Nice. I like your thinking.
Yeah,
Divide
I'm
and
not
conquer.
going, I don't care. So there's that, and if you do want to go for just the one, back to gifting, we can get some sort of chocolate dispensing device for £5 as well.
So we can get all of that?
Well, 1 poncho and the chocolate dispensing, or 2 ponchos.
I think just a 1 poncho is beautiful.
I like the
They can
5,
argue.
yep. So
They
a lot
can
of
argue
sweets
it.
and a poncho.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will expect to see that next time you're here,
It
and
will be
also
with you.
receipts, proof of purchase. We are almost at the end of the show. I will be playing the song that I'm adding to the Songs to Seduce Women by CD. We'll be adding that, and there's been a lot of feedback on the web actually about the compilation as we've been making it. A lot of people have been getting in touch saying what I've done wrong with it, if they've liked the compilation. Generally, people don't like the fact that I included The Sweetest Thing by U2. Now, if you recall, the reason I did that was because this compilation is being made for an imagined woman. You can't just keep on putting on songs which no one's ever heard before. You have to stick on something which could seduce just the average ditzy blonde in the office, okay? So I've popped on U2 for that reason. But so we've had a lot of emails and things. Louisa has been in touch. She says, "Hey, Stephen, counting cows should be involved." I think that's probably crows. I'm not sure. Not heard of the counting cows.
Easier to count cows. They don't move about so much.
Very true. Emily says, "Oh no, far too soppy and acoustic and stereotypically girly, your compilation. You want some action with a real red-blooded woman, you've got to get something a bit more aggressive on there. I just want to go and weep into some embroidery after listening to this lot. So I don't know what could be more aggressive. What would be, I don't know what that means, that's both romantic
and
aggressive.
aggressive.
It's difficult to find. Any ideas, Harry?
Yeah, I've got a suggestion, because I've been pushing this idea for a while, because they are all a bit mimsy, aren't they? Where you're not going to get into Courtney Loves Knickers playing this sort of stuff. So I think we need some guitar action with some nice level on lyrics.
Maybe I'll ask you to choose something next week. Thank you. If people want to get in touch, Dan, how can they do it?
They can do it via email, stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk.
I'll leave you then with this addition to the Songs to Seduce Women by CD. It's John Martin from his 1980 album Grace and Danger. People will be up in arms, Six Music listeners, because it features Phil Collins on drums. I know. We'll be back next week. Is it the Freak Zone next?
Yeah.
It is. All right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Final round of applause and the Steve Roy Start. From 1973 in the album For Your Pleasure, that's Roxy Music with Editions of You. Welcome along to the Steve Show with me, Stephen Merchant. We are on episode 22, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who are new to the show, here is a quick recap of everything you've missed since the first show in the style of 24. Previously on the Steve Show. We started off in January, we played lots of great music and people seemed pleased. I hope to be the new John Peel. I quickly realised I was becoming the new Dave Lee Travis. There's nothing I can do about it, I've just got to face it. In between the songs, I spoke with my various studio guests. The conversations were intelligent and interesting, or boring and full of knob jokes, depending on your point of view on any given week. Twice I've been on holiday, but each time I have very carefully pre-recorded the show in order to maintain listener loyalty. Also, I thought obviously if someone stood in for me, they might be better than me, and the BBC would sack me like they sacked the brilliant Dave Lee Travis. My friend Dave, during these shows, walked from Land's End to John O'Groats, not for charity, just for fun, which is weird. One week I gave my fee for the show to Comic Relief, which everyone agreed was really generous. Everyone agreed it was really generous.
Stop going on about that.
Each week I spoke to a listener who recommended a song to me that I might like. Often I did like it, on some occasions I loathed it, but pretended I liked it to be polite. One week the control desk blew up and we had to move next door. I was furious and accused, you may recall, Six Music of being a tin pot radio station. A comment that regular listeners will notice I've yet to retract. Did I also mention that one week I gave my fee for the show to Comic Relief, which everyone still agreed is really generous.
It's the end of that.
It's really generous. I continued, of course, each week to play lots of great music. I searched for a Shijay, I found one. I failed, however, to win a BAFTA, but that was fine and not annoying. And I played lots of great music. That pretty much brings you bang up to speed, so welcome along if you're a new listener to The Steve Show. I have some studio compatriots with me. I'll introduce them to you after The Killers. The Killers, Mr. Brightside on The Steve Show, BBC Six Music, me, Stephen Merchant. Each week I am joined by a couple of compatriots. There's a sort of vague idea that they're here in order to introduce me to music and play records for me. Essentially it's to keep me company, and you know, perhaps I have a hilarious observation which I wish to share. Perhaps I've taken a sideways look at the week's news, and it's imperative for me to impart that to them, and they're there to sort of
and cackle. On command.
Cackle on command. It's, I believe, known as Zoo Radio.
Yeah.
And popularised, I think, by Steve Wright in the mid-80s. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't think I'm whooping enough.
No, I'd like to hear more whooping.
Yeah.
Let's have an encouraging, just a minor Steve Wright-style round of applause. Just very subdued, as befits a show with pretensions such as this. So yes, welcome back, as always, Harry, who is a professional banker and music fan. Thanks for coming down, and also Sammy, our recently anointed Shijay, and you've come all the way from where?
From Northumberland / Newcastle.
You should know by now.
I know, but the reason I like her to say is because it just seems so far to come for this nonsense. Particularly as I understand you're being paid a negligible amount of money. It's largely pointless. Last week, Sammy, of course, I set you a challenge. You were given £20. You were obliged to spend it in Argos. What evidence have you got that you have spent it in Argos?
Would you like me to go and grab it?
Yes,
right,
please.
I'm going to go at the back of the studio. Hang with me.
Thank you very much. Careful with your headphones. And in the meantime, I'll just tell you that you're listening to The Steve Show on BBC Six Music.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Right.
We could have prepared that. I should have mentioned beforehand that I was going to ask you to do that. So you could have chosen anything from the Argos catalogue. You have chosen what?
Well, firstly, I've got a pick and mix sweet shop, which we haven't cracked open yet, but it looks promising.
Wow, and you can assemble that, and perhaps it's got like a small weighing machine there. I notice some
It's
fake
amazing.
coinage. Is that right?
Does it come with the sweets? Or do you have to provide
It
your
does
own?
come with the sweets.
Really?
Yeah, and little jars, and it's real fake money. None of this fake money.
Sure. And so you'll be setting that up, perhaps in the side of the studio there. Anyone can come in with fake money. I was always a big fan. I don't know if you guys were being young, when I was young, when I was a kid, of setting up fake shops and sort of playing. Of course, having no real friends, no one ever came to the shop. But the one I was always setting up was my father was in the building trade. He used to sometimes take me to a place that sold wood. It was a place that sold wooden builders materials, so I set up an artificial builders materials, and occasionally I'd envisage someone coming in saying, "You got a bit of 2x4?" I'd say yes. I always had it in stock, and that was it. That was my entire game. I'd just sit there in the lounge with a small coffee table as a kind of counter. I love the idea of an in and an out tray. Even to this day, I fantasise about having an in and an out tray, and maybe a secretary called Paula. Paula, can you get John on the phone? In my world, you don't get those perks.
No, see, I used to have a pretend shop as well when I was a kid, but equally I was an only child, I had no friends, so again I couldn't sell anything. So my dad used to forcibly shut me down. He used to pretend to be the bailiffs, take all my stock off me, and that's how I learned the rules of finance and big business, and that's how I became...
That's why you work in a bank.
Exactly.
God, it all comes together like
Sammy,